The cargo bay of the Valak station was silent, filled only with the soft hum of machinery. Outside, the endless void of space glittered with distant stars, but inside, a small group of alien beings hovered around a strange, glowing container. They were the Krynn Cubes, translucent, floating cubes of sentient energy, able to manipulate matter with their electromagnetic tendrils. They had never tasted food, never felt hunger, and they certainly never understood the human obsession with flavors. Yet today, they were trying. Human engineer Mara Trent stood at a safe distance, arms crossed, watching them closely. Her job was to help the cubes integrate into daily station life. They were incredibly efficient at maintenance and navigation, but morale among the rest of the crew was low. The daily grind of space was getting to everyone. Something had to change, and Mara had a plan. "You're supposed to cook, not break the containment field," she said, stepping forward. A shimmering violet cube vibrated nervously, its energy pulsing erratically as it tried to lift a chunk of raw protein into a pool of rice. The rice scattered across the table like microscopic meteors. Mara sighed. "All right, let's start simple. We're going to make what humans call rice with meat. Step. First, cook the rice properly." The cube tilted slightly, a gesture of confusion in their language. "Input: thermal excitation, but matter cohesion unstable." It hummed in a low tone. "Yes, but it has to be controlled. Don't turn it into paste." Mara Muteret, showing them the small cooker she had set up. She watched, fascinated, as the cube extended a tendril of blue light and tentatively activated the device. Slowly, the rice absorbed the heat, steaming into a cloud of tiny, perfectly separated grains. The cube hummed proudly. "Good. Next, the meat." Mara placed a slab of synthesized protein onto the tray. "You see, humans like it brown first. It adds flavor. We call it searing." The cube vibrated, unsure how to proceed. Its energy tendril quivered over the surface. Then, almost instinctively, it created a shimmering field that compressed the meat at a molecular level, raising its temperature evenly. The meat hissed, and a fragrant aroma filled the air, making Mara's stomach growl. "Not bad," she said, her eyes widening. "But it's too uniform. Humans like texture, crunch, chewiness." For the first time, the cube paused. Then, almost experimentally, it segmented the protein into smaller, uniform pieces and rotated them slowly in the field, browning some edges while leaving the centers tender. Mara blinked. "That was actually perfect. Congratulations," she said, smiling. "You just made the most even sear I've ever seen. Now, combine it with the rice." The cube extended its energy tendrils over the rice, scooping, folding, and stirring with a precision that would take human hands decades to master. Tiny clouds of steam rose, carrying the scent of browned protein and perfectly cooked grains. When it finished, the cube vibrated happily, proud of its creation. Mara tasted a small spoonful. The flavors danced in her mouth. Warmth of the rice, the rich savoriness of the meat, the slight caramelization from the searing. She looked at the cube and laughed. "I don't know if anyone taught you to cook, but you just made humans jealous." Word spread quickly through the station. Soon, other crew members were crowding into the cargo bay, curious to see the Krynn Cubes' new culinary skills. At first, there was skepticism. Aliens with no digestive system, cooking food. But Mara encouraged them to taste, and one bite was all it took. "Delicious," exclaimed Lieutenant Corvin, a crustacean-like engineer from Zarnik 5. "I have never experienced such balanced thermal texture." Even the androids, programmed only for efficiency, seemed to pause, as if appreciating the artistry. The cubes, sensing the approval, began experimenting. They started folding rice with vegetables, trying new spices, and even attempting human desserts. Mara watched with a mixture of pride and disbelief. She had trained the cubes to maintain the station, sure, but teaching them to cook had done something more. It had made them relatable. It had given the crew something to celebrate in the monotonous emptiness of space. Weeks passed, and Mara noticed something unexpected. The cubes weren't just following instructions anymore. They were creating. They began combining flavors in ways no human had ever thought of. One cube used fermented algae with roasted protein and rice, producing a subtle, tangy flavor that had humans lining up for seconds. Another experimented with crystallized minerals, creating a sparkling, almost fizzy sensation on the tongue. "Are you experimenting?" Mara asked one day, watching a cube stir an unusual mixture. "Yes. Taste matrix optimization. New preference simulation," it hummed. Mara laughed. "You're not just cooking anymore. You're making art." And that was when it happened. The cubes, inspired by human creativity and emotion, began serving meals spontaneously, offering them as gifts to other crew members. The act of giving, something they had never understood before, sparked something new within them, a rudimentary sense of empathy. Humans, in turn, were amazed. In the cold vacuum of space, a simple meal had become a bridge between species, a celebration of shared experience. One evening, as the station drifted past a ringed gas giant, Mara sat in the dining bay, savoring a cube's latest creation. Rice infused with asteroid-sourced herbs and lightly seared protein. The taste was beyond description, comforting, surprising, and perfect all at once. The cubes hovered nearby, their energy pulsing gently, watching everyone's reactions. "You've changed the station," Mara said quietly. "Not just with food. Wait. You." The violet cube extended a tendril toward her plate, nudging it slightly. It hummed, a sound that now felt like pride, or maybe even joy. In that moment, Mara realized something profound. Humans had a talent for connection, for imbuing meaning into the mundane, that no alien technology could ever replicate. And in return, the cubes had begun to understand it. In the endless void of space, amid steel corridors and blinking consoles, life had become richer. Not because of advanced engines or quantum drives, but because a human had shared something as simple as rice with meat. The cubes, once silent and indifferent, had learned to cook, and in learning, they had become something more. Friends, companions, and collaborators in the human adventure across the stars. Mara smiled and raised her spoon to the nearest cube. "To the first interstellar feast," she said. The cube pulsed, shimmering brighter than usual. It was a simple act, but one that carried the weight of discovery, understanding, and shared life in a lonely universe. Mara knew then that humanity's greatest strength wasn't just in our technology or our courage. It was in teaching, sharing, and connecting, even with creatures that didn't even know they could taste. In space, a meal was more than just sustenance. It was proof that humans could make the universe a little warmer, a little more familiar, and infinitely more extraordinary. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe for more adventures from across the galaxy. See you next time.